By the way, one person took that last cold open serious, where they took it seriously when I made fun of Disneyland.
Yeah, I know. I saw the comment. They were really mad.
They unsubscribed. I checked the number. They unsubscribed from the channel.
That's fine.
That's what happens when you're a fan of the bad Disney.
You don't need.
I'm not going to do the same joke twice. I'm not going to do it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Disney Top 3, the series where Christine and I talk about Disney because we're not at Disney. This week, we're not at Disney, but we're going to be talking about our top 3 favorite ride refurbs. Now, this comes at the suggestion of, if I'm going to do something like this, I should probably have the video open so I could really cite their name.
Yeah. It was a suggestion from Bob Iger. He was so interested in our thoughts.
He was like, what should we do next?
Imagining for Dummies. He was like, I would really like to suggest a top 3 topic. So
Please.
We said, Bob, of course.
The suggestion comes from MSR for Life, who made the suggestion in the last episode, which was our top 3 special effects. So we're going to talk about our top 3 refurbs. Now, here are the ground rules. Refurbs mean it's the same ride, but with changes, whether it's minor or major.
Yeah.
The same, but different.
Yeah.
So that means you can't do Horizons to Mission Space because that's a whole new ride.
Yeah.
However, you can do something like the minor changes with rides like Haunted Mansion or even some of the more major ones, but it has to be the same ride at its core.
Yeah.
So, who do we want to start with, Christine? Should I flip a coin?
Yeah, sure.
Coin.
Tails.
You lose. Heads. Pirate heads. Okay. So I guess that means I go first.
Yeah.
My number 3 refurb is in Hollywood Studios. It's the Tower of Terror. And that was more of a behind-the-scenes refurb, right? Because the ride itself on the front didn't change. The show you go through didn't change. What really changed in this refurb with their different versions was the programming of how it drops and how many times it drops and how it randomly drops. And I think the first time the ride opened, it just sort of dropped and that was it. And then the second version, there was some variation to it. And then the third, it sort of went through this programming loop where it's going to be different almost every time you ride it. And so it's on my list because obviously it's one that has like a major impact on your ride experience without actually changing, you know, the story that you go through or the scenery that you go through. But it's like that takes the core of it and goes, oh, you know, it would be great. You know, it'd be better than doing this thing once, doing this thing like 7 times or, you know, 4.5 times because we're going to fake you out. So, you know, I don't know. That one popped to mind immediately when I got the topic because it's just one I'm really glad happened because it made the ride so much better.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I didn't even think of it at all because it happened so long ago, I think. And it's been so long since I rode the version before it that I almost forget how, like, not as fun it was. But, I mean, doesn't the Tower of Terror in Disneyland not have all of those changes? Am I correct?
I don't know. Who cares? Who cares about that one? It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy in a year anyway.
Anyway, I think there's only 4 variations.
That's it?
Yeah, I think it's only 4.
I take it back. Worst refurb ever. What are we doing here? We have computers, Disney.
But the thing is, for how many times we've rode it, do you, like, know them by heart? No.
No.
I mean, they tend to change up so much, and you're just so in the middle of it. It's not like you're sitting there going, oh, there was one big drop, and there's a short one, and there's a fake out. Like,
that was 2/3? It didn't feel like, yep.
No, I totally agree. It's so much more fun. It's like makes it that if you do want to do a loop and do it a couple times in a row immediately, it's not
overly
I feel like
repetitive.
There are other rides where, like, I feel like I've done Star Tours a few times in a row and have been like, okay, it's losing its excitement a little bit by like the third time, because the movements are all the same. But that one I could go on so many times and it's still be great.
Can't we all?
Yeah.
Your number 2 is.
You mean number 3? I didn't.
Your number 3 is the Tiki Room under new management. You thought Iago was the best thing to add to a Disney classic.
You're right on animals. You're wrong on park. It is Kilimanjaro Safaris in the Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I picked this ride is, okay, so it went through that refurbishment where they removed the story of Little Red.
Yep.
Shot by the poachers.
Yep.
And I
wasn't it Big Red?
There's Big Red and Little Red. Oh, Big Red got shot by the poachers.
Yeah.
The posters.
They pulled the Bambi. The parent got shot, right, by the poachers.
Got shot. You save Little Red from the poachers. Yay!
Right.
I think I understand what they were trying to do, in that they were trying to teach this, this idea of like poaching is bad.
Right.
But I don't think that it came off really well in the ride. It all kind of happens really rushed, and the cast member has like a few lines, and then it's like, wait, what's happening? Go, go, go. Oh, there's Little Red. Yay, we win the day. And it was just like, what? Like,
yeah.
What just happened? And the thing is, if you're going to talk about a topic that is that serious, I think you have to do it well. And I just don't think that they did. So I think it's better off not being there. Also because, I mean, now at this point, it's just a safari, and you get to actually enjoy slowing down and watching the animals, instead of having these weird points where it's like, we gotta drive really fast over this bridge, and all of a sudden it becomes like this action ride. I don't know. It was just like a weird combination of events to me. And I like it much better now that it's just a safari, and you can still learn about poaching and all of that if you go to like the conservation station. So it's not like they've lost that messaging. I don't think it worked well, and I think it was really good that they pulled it.
Yeah, fair enough. I never thought of that as a refurb, but it is. I think that was one of those things where I never read about it. I just went on it and was like, wasn't there a thing with elephants? Ah, well. And you're right. It's first and foremost, it is a safari, so that's all it really needed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, my number 2 is Space Mountain in the Magic Kingdom. Recently, a few years ago, they refurbed it by closing off the queue area, the roof of the queue area, so that it was a darker attraction, and it added some cool theming to the queue area. They included all of this interactivity in the queue line with the video games. I don't know if they changed or added. I don't remember pre-refurb music during the ride. But I recognize it after. So, yeah, they probably added it. It's not the same as Disneyland's, which is admittedly better. But for me, the main reason I like this refurb more is because they closed off the queue, which made the ride so much darker. And as a result, made it it felt a little more wild because you couldn't see the tracks as well.
Yeah.
And it was one of those really simple things where, how do you improve on something as classic as Space Mountain? Well, you don't have to change a whole lot. Just, take what's good about it, which is that it's like this indoor dark coaster, and make it darker. And, add some stuff to add entertainment to that really long queue with the little video games that are perfectly, I think, designed for a moving line. And just make it look just give it a fresh coat of paint, and it just made it feel fresh without changing too much. And it's exactly what you kind of, as a long-term Disney fan, want to see with a lot of refurbs, especially with the older rides, where it's like, okay, you're bringing something new to the table, but you're not changing too much.
Yeah.
And so I like it a lot.
I love those video games in the queue.
Yeah.
I really do. Like I like to stop and actually play them when I can. And it's kind of fun if you're in the queue and like nobody's in the queue, and then you're like, oh, okay, let's just play around with these games before we get on the ride. I don't know.
And hey, Bob, I know you guys got really scared and backed out of the whole video game thing, but why don't you put those games out on iPhone? I'll buy it for $1. Get a little bit of Disney.
What if we could remotely play with the people who are
Oh my gosh. Why don't we work for this company, Christine? The amazing ideas that just pour out of our brains. It's just, No, let's cancel video games. We're so scared of them. What's your number 2? Please let me forget about the great idea that'll never happen.
My number 2 is moving to another park. I just realized all 3 of mine are in all 3 different parks. Well, there's 4 parks, but you know what I mean. They're in 3 different parks.
No, that's right. You counted the wrong parks. That's the thing.
So we're moving to Epcot, and my number 2 is Test Track. And this is a big refurb. Right.
This is the stretch. This stretches the rules. This goes to the border and looks over the edge.
Right.
But it's the same ride.
It is the same ride in the actual ride that you have. It is the same ride in name.
Yep.
It's the same ride.
Yep.
But the old Test Track was exactly that. It was just this idea of being a crash test dummy.
Right.
In this car and going through all of these crash tests basically.
Right.
And The queue was kind of boring and had this really annoying, like, mechanical music that
I don't even remember it.
repetitively.
Oh, I kind of remember it. It was like very 90s, like
Yeah.
like industrial.
Yeah, it was like literally sounds of like wrenches and motors
gosh.
and wheels moving. It was weird. And it wasn't a really exciting queue. And that's it. You kind of get on this car that was like weirdly designed. It had like that black and yellow like line across of it. Like it was supposed to feel like you were in a crash test facility.
Right.
And so you go through all of these little tests that are kind of meaningless and whatever, and then you come out into the speed test. That's it. End of ride. It was cool. I mean, it did well for when it came out, but there's just, I don't know, there's something lacking. It didn't, to me, how that
didn't fit in.
Yeah. And then they do this whole refurb of it now. New queue with so many
Tron
things to
track.
look at. Yeah, like, well, yeah. But like the queue itself has like all of these cool car models that are actually being worked on, like companies that are trying to make these new efficient cars, and you get to see all of that. Really cool queue music. You get to build your own personal car that is now going to be tested against other cars of the people who you're sitting with. So now there's a reason for the test that you're going through, right? Now it becomes a competition. And the entire test thing is like, I guess Tron-ish. I mean, they don't, it's never
visually. It just looks like it.
Yeah, it's darker. It has the cool, like, neon lighting. And at the end of each test, you actually see how your car did against everything else. And I feel like it's way more interactive in that way. You actually care about what's going on. You're, like, invested. I always, like, cheer, if I'm in the leaderboards. And then they have a great post queue where like you can take that car that you designed and like make cool commercials or like
do things with it
in a video game. Again, video games, Disney, you can do them.
No, we're scared.
So it just completely 180 the ride. And I think it just made it so much more interesting than it used to be.
Yeah, you sold it on me. It was my number 3 originally, and then I took it off the list so you could put it on your list. But I think it would be a little higher up. It was a really, really good refurb. My number 1, however, is the Carousel of Progress. Now,
okay.
This one is, I like it for a number of reasons. Now, when I talk about the refurb, there are a couple. Yeah. The one that I'm referring to is when it went from the older late 80s, early 90s version to what we saw, or actually up until now, what we see. Now, this includes changes like replacing the narrator with what's-his-face from A Christmas Story, changing the script around a lot, refurbing the final 4th scene so that it is the 1990s, or, well, I mean, we don't know what it is. I guess it's kind of the 90s. Now, a lot of people make fun of it because today, they're all like, ooh, it's the near future. And today it just looks horribly outdated. No matter, they always make a minor change, like they replace the television. Even though there's still like an old school, like 1980s laptop up there or something.
The VR was ahead of its time, though.
But why not just put put an Oculus Rift on her?
You need to get to sponsor it.
Sure, exactly. But it's kind of dated. But I mean, an important thing a lot of people don't realize is that when the ride premiered at the World's Fair, the song was Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. It was then changed to Now's the Time. And this refurb brought it back to Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow because they had lost their sponsorship with GE. So I like it on that grounds that it sort of brings it back to its roots. I like it because it shows that, it's not a cardinal sin to upgrade the ride, even though it is like a classic that Walt worked on himself by bringing that 4th scene back into the future. It brought a really great narrator into it. It kind of fixed the script, which was a product of its time, by which I mean it was a little sexist. And so, overall, it was just like something that was really needed for the ride. And I hope people think to that refurb if they ever decide to refurb it again in the future, because I could already tell it's going to be one of those rides where like people who are too young to remember that refurb or the one before it are going to go, no, it's a classic, you can't change it, but it's already changed like 3 times already. So we should keep changing it. It's called the Carousel of Progress. We should be progressing it.
Yeah.
But I like it for all of those reasons, and it's just a classic attraction. So it's my number 1.
So my number 1 goes to yet another park, and it's Hollywood Studios.
Oh,
for Star Tours.
Oh, okay. I guessed wrong. I was gonna guess Great Movie Ride.
Oh God, no. Anyway, Star Tours did a refurb. I don't know, how many years back has it been now? I feel like I want to say it wasn't that long ago, but it was pretty.
Yeah, it was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. Well, they just added Jakku. That's sort of like a mini refurb.
Yes.
But the one before it was like a couple of years.
I'm talking about when they moved from like the 80s Star Tours
right
to the awesome different scene Star Tours that we have now.
Right.
So the old 80s one, I can barely remember it.
Oh, I remember it. With Pee Wee Herman and Rex.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, yes.
They go through the ice crystals of Star Wars, that, the famous ice crystal asteroids.
Right. And it was only that one ride, that one setup, no matter how many times you rode it. And again, harkening back to what I said, it was like, oh, if I ride it repeatedly, it gets boring. That was more so for that, because it was literally the same thing over and over again. And new movies came out, say what you will about some of the prequels, whatever. But they totally refurbed it so that now you go and you have, 3 different scenes that you run through? And because there's the opening one, there's the 2 planets, and all of those can be different. So I just think it's a really cool refurb because it does make the ride interesting every time you ride it. And then there's also this possibility that with every single new Star Wars film that comes out, they can add these scenes. So I'm sure they've already got something in the works with Episode 8, right? Like,
and Rogue One, maybe even.
Yeah. So thinking of that in my brain and thinking after all these Star Wars movies comes out, I have this insane idea of millions of combinations of scenes when you go on the ride. I mean, it might not actually happen that way, but just this idea that they could always have this plethora of new scenes that they can pull from with these new movies is really cool, and it makes it more relevant for kids who are just learning about Star Wars. And I just think it's one of the best refurbs that we've seen, and took Star Tours from no line to
oh yeah,
having a line again. So.
Yeah, that's a good way to bring it back. I mean, that's a good pick. You got a bunch of good picks on that list.
I know.
There you have it. Our top 3 refurbs in Walt Disney World. I want to hear what your top 3 refurbs in Walt Disney World are. Tell me, why are they, the Great Movie Ride, and what were the other 2? We had a perfect list of the 3 worst refurbs. The Tiki Room, the Great Movie Ride, and there was another really bad one, but I can't remember it. Oh well.
Spaceship Earth.
Spaceship Earth, thank you. Let us know in the comments, or let us know why I was totally wrong for saying any of those. Or you could let us know on Twitter. I'm at Rob Plays.
And I'm at Ivy Winter YT.
And you could also check out Christine's channel, where she does a bunch of Disney videos. I see she's been doing top 5s without me.
Wait, for solo travel, in which I solo have to discuss them.
Whatever, Christine, I'm hurt. I'm hurt, and it's going to take a long time to get over this, but I think I'll have it within me to do so. Until next time.
Bye.
Stay vigilant, Disney fans.
What?
I got nothing. I don't know where I'm going to cut on that. That's going to be a whole thing. I'm going to have to figure out where to cut this video out. You're still dressed like Ian Malcolm? Love it.
Oh.
You should just drop an Ian Malcolm quote.
Oh, God, I can't do it.